Darius the Mede is mentioned in the Book of Daniel as king of Babylon between Belshazzar and Cyrus the Great, but he is not known to history, nor can he be fitted between the known figures of Belshazzar and Cyrus. Most scholars view him as a literary fiction, but conservatives seeking to harmonize Daniel with history have put forward several theories, the most common being that he is identical with either Cyrus or with Agbaru, the general who was first to enter Babylon when it fell to the Persians in 539 BCE. Darius the Mede in the Book of Daniel. Darius the Mede is first mentioned in the story of Belshazzar's feast. Belshazzar, king of Babylon, holds a great feast for his lords, but in the midst of the revelries a hand appears and writes on the wall, "Many, many, tekel, parsin." Daniel interprets the mysterious words. Belshazzar has been weighed and found wanting, and his kingdom is to be divided between the Medes and Persians. The story concludes, that very night Belshazzar the Chaldean king was killed, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom. In the story of Daniel in the lion's den, we learn that Daniel has continued to serve at the royal court under Darius, and has been raised to high office. His jealous rivals plot his downfall, tricking Darius into issuing a decree that no prayers should be addressed to any god or man but to Darius himself, on pain of death. But Daniel continues to pray to the God of Israel, and Darius, although deeply distressed, must condemn him to be thrown into the lion's den, for the edicts of the Medes and Persians cannot be altered. At daybreak the king hurries to the place and cries out asking if God had saved his friend, and Daniel replies that his God had sent an angel to close the doors of the lions, because I was found blameless before him. Darius commands that those who had conspired against him should be thrown to the beasts in his place, along with their wives and children. The final appearance of Darius is in Daniel chapter 9. This chapter records a vision of Daniel relating to the end-time travails and triumph of the Israelites over their enemies, and the mention of Darius is simply a chronological marker. The vision, the reader is told, was sent to Daniel in the first year of Darius son of Ahasuerus. Historical and literary background. The Medes and the fall of Babylon. The Medes came to prominence in 612 BCE when they joined with the Babylonians in overthrowing Assyria. Little is known about them, but they were possibly a significant power in the Middle East for several decades thereafter. The fall of their empire is recorded in a Babylonian inscription from around 553 BCE reporting that the Median king has been conquered by Cyrus, king of Anshan, in southwestern Iran. This is the first appearance of Cyrus in the historical record, and the beginning of the rapid rise of the Persians. After extending his empire from the Mediterranean to Central Asia, Cyrus turned his attention to Babylonia. The most important ancient sources for his conquest of Babylon are the Nabonidus Chronicle, the Cyrus Cylinder, and the verse account of Nabonidus, which, despite its name, was commissioned by Cyrus. Cyrus' Babylonian campaign began in 539 BCE, although there were presumably previous tensions. On the 10th of October Cyrus won a battle at Opis, opening the road to Babylon, and on the 12th of October Agbaru, governor of the district of Gutium, and the army of Cyrus entered Babylon without a battle. Agbaru is presumably the same person as the Gorbiris mentioned by the Greek historian Xenophon, a Babylonian provincial governor who switched to the Persian side. Cyrus made his entrance into the city a few days later. Nabonidus was captured and his life spared, and nothing is known of the fate of Belshazzar. The Book of Daniel. The Book of Daniel is not regarded by scholars as a reliable guide to history. The broad consensus is that Daniel never existed, and that the author appears to have taken the name from a legendary hero of the distant past mentioned in the Book of Ezekiel. Daniel is an apocalypse, not a book of prophecy, and its contents form a cryptic allusion to the Syrian Greek king Antiochus IV Epiphanes and his savage persecution of the Jews. There is broad agreement that the stories making up chapters 1 to 6 are legendary in character. and that the visions of chapters 7 to 12 were added during the persecution of Antiochus, the book itself being completed soon after 164 BCE. Daniel chapter 5 and Daniel chapter 6 belong to the folk tales making up the first half of the book. The language of Daniel chapter 5, for example, follows ancient Near Eastern conventions which are in some cases precisely those used in Daniel. Daniel chapter 6 is based on a classic Babylonian folk tale called Ludlu Bel-Nemechi, telling of a courtier who suffers disgrace at the hands of evil enemies but is eventually restored due to the intervention of a kindly god. In the Babylonian original, the pit of lions is a metaphor for human adversaries at court, but the biblical tale has turned the metaphorical lions into real animals. In Daniel chapter 9, Daniel, pondering the meaning of Jeremiah's prediction that Jerusalem would remain desolate for 70 years, is told by the angel Gabriel that the 70 years should be taken to mean 70 weeks of years. Verse 1 sets the time of Daniel's vision as the first year of Darius son of Ahasuerus, by birth a Mede, but no Darius is known to history, nor can he be fitted between the genuine historical figures of Belshazzar and Cyrus. Identity of Darius the Mede. Many attempts have been made to connect Darius the Mede to known figures, but H.H. Rowley's 1935 study of the question demonstrated that each was a false identification, and most commentators view him as a literary fiction. This leaves open the question of where the author of the Book of Daniel found his Darius. The following is a list of the most common candidates. Darius the Great, c. 550–486 BCE. This historically known Darius was the third Persian emperor, and an important figure for Jews in the early Persian period because of his role in the rebuilding of the Temple in Jerusalem. At the beginning of his career, Darius had to conquer Babylon to remove a usurper, before expanding the empire and dividing it into satrapies. The author of Daniel, mindful of certain prophecies that the Medes would destroy Babylon, and needing a Median king to complete his four-kingdom schema, appears to have taken the historic Darius and projected him into a fictional past. Astyages. Astyages was the last king of the Medes. He was defeated by Cyrus in 550. His father was named Cyaxares, and there is no record of him being present at the fall of Babylon. Consequently, he gets little attention in modern apologetics, but the 1st century CE Jewish historian Joseph, followed later by the early Christian Church Father Jerome, harmonized Daniel with the historical sources by claiming that Darius the Mede was a son of Astyages. Cyaxares too. The Greek writer Xenophon tells of a Median king called Cyaxares who was the son of Astyages. Other Greek historians say that Astyages had no son. According to Xenophon, Cyrus became king of Media through marriage to Cyaxares' daughter, contradicting all other sources, notably the Babylonian, which say Cyrus won Media by conquest from Astyages. Xenophon is not given credence by historians, and he does not, in any case, say that his otherwise unknown Cyaxares ruled Babylon. Cyrus. This argument hinges on a reinterpretation of Daniel chapter 6 verse 28 to read, Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius, even the reign of Cyrus the Persian, making them the same individual. William Shea, a conservative scholar, comments that it would be strange to refer to Cyrus the Persian, son of Cambyses, as Darius the Mede, son of Ahasuerus, and strange also to refer to the same king as Cyrus in some passages and Darius in others. Cambyses. Cambyses was Cyrus's son and his successor as emperor. The Babylonian records indicate that Cyrus installed him as regent in Babylon, but he was not a Mede. His father was not Ahasuerus, and he was probably not 62 years old. Gubaru, the general who was the first to enter Babylon. Ugbaru was the Babylonian governor of Gutium before switching sides to the Persians, and Cyrus seems to have given him administrative responsibility for Babylon after its capture. He did not, however, hold the title of King of Babylon, nor does this theory account for the name Darius.